Hello everyone and welcome to update 1.94, new patch that came out and introduces some new enemies and characters for us. So let's take a closer look. And basically there's a good bit to go through here. Starting with the chat, as you can see, you will actually see the level next to a player's name, which is really nice when someone asks for help and they're asking for what's a great air tower. You don't really want to recommend air guard to a level 89 per se, or toxic tower. It's just not going to work out. So it's good that they added that. Clicking on someone's name, that's good. You can actually reply much easier instead of butchering someone's name. And a really cool part, if someone crafts something and you see the red, you can actually click on that and see the card that was just created. What's really nice is there's actually an asterisk on it, so you'll know if it's the foil version as well. So that's actually a pretty cool feature. If someone's spamming the chat with the same card, you no longer have that anymore. It just shows the one card. So that's a good thing for chat, and you don't have to see your own notifications. That was a little annoying. So some of the new cards we have in the game, we have Bruiser. He's basically like the duelist. If you remember the duelist, basically he would give you up to a 98% chance to have a rego of normal PvE after the first time you beat it. You can play it again, which is really cool because if you're trying to experiment, you can actually play the exact same map over again if you want to test runes or towers against the previous version. So it's actually a pretty useful thing. It drops down for epic and legendary. But now there's a duelist version. I don't know what quite he does just yet. I haven't seen him yet, so maybe we'll see him in the next event. Some foil versions of two new towers that were just introduced, of the Crusher and the Launcher, and of course the Bruiser, and now Patriot and Lady Frost have one as well. We have the Crusher here. This is the foil version of the Crusher. And basically you can actually stun now, which is a really cool feature. We were kind of hoping it would in the regular version, but the League version does bring that to fruition. Really love the teeth there on the bottom part of the skull. That's kind of nice addition as well. And with only a 1% resistance, that does not climb up too fast. So that'll be nice. And the foil version of Missile Launcher, instead of the 20% standard, this one actually gets a 60% area damage range. So a little different than most. It's getting something a little special there. So that's going to be rather cool to see. Now, we don't have a Bruiser yet, but I can show you actually the Patriot and Lady Frost version as well. So let's do that. And that's what she's going to look like. A bit darker than her previous self. And the Patriot with a 20% as well. And this was the duelist I was referring to. He was notched up to give 100% from 98. So that's a nice jump. And the text is a bit more clear. It was updated, so now you actually know your true percentages there instead of just dividing by 5 and trying to guess, so to speak. As far as the Anomaly Tower, I have not seen that just yet, but keep in mind, it looks like you need Prime to rebuild that. So don't think the engineering tower is going to cut it. You probably need some Prime for that. And they did introduce some new enemies. I'm obviously pretty excited about this one, with my name being Wolf Blitzer. They introduced some wolves that increase their speed. So, hooray. If you hate these guys, don't blame me. It's not my fault that these guys are in the game, but I am pretty happy to see them running about. I did see them in a League PvP mine, 181, So to give you an idea as comparison, if you go to those 181 mines, because I don't have any enemies to compare them to, but if you pull that 181 mine up, that's what you can actually see to see the health. It did seem to be on the heftier side. Now this is the first one, the Knoll. This is going to be a bit faster. That 255, that's a burner. I think the Fleetles move up 160, so he's going to move pretty quick. If you'll notice at the top left, it's the first one. It has an exclamation point. That is his symbol. And with these 3 new enemies, they all have exclamation points. So be on the lookout for those. Now, if you did not see, it can actually not be feared. So if you are using fear towers, you want to watch out for these guys. They're going to run a bit faster on you. And let's see, let's skip to the Werewolf. And he has a good bit of hit points as well, so he moves slightly slower than a Fleetle until that Fear Tower hits him. I have not tried the Purifier to see if that removes the debuff. We'll try to get that in a later video, get that going, see if that can be changed, but he definitely gets some speed going. And the Wolfhound. Look at that armor increase. 50%, that's a good bit, so you want to watch out for this guy for sure. And once again, that's the exclamation point on all 3 of those. This one being the 3rd one. So that's slightly different for each one. But these are the ones that you'll want to watch out for on the Fear Towers. Now there was also a change in the runes. This one's a bit difficult to describe. The biggest change is the slot 6 rune, the Endurance rune. You could basically double dip with this rune on certain towers, such as the Aim Tower. It would give double power percentage increases. So I can kind of see why they changed it to make it seem a little different instead of the same double power. It does make towers a bit weaker, so you have to keep that in mind. But basically, check your slot 6 towers. It has now changed. The icon has changed as well. So if you actually see slot 6, it has changed a bit with the eye and the heart. It now gives toughness instead of power and the main attribute. The strengthen runes were changed as well. So you may want to go through your towers and just check those runes for your towers and make sure you have that swapped out. Especially notice that the damage was changed on that last part, the damage printer instead of the effectiveness. You'll notice that some runes you won't be able to put in your high, volcano, etc. Now the pumpkin tower was changed. We like it, but I've done some looking at level 65 for the pumpkin and League volcano, and it was very close in damage. I believe it was basically a level's worth of damage, so it was barely any different. So of course I want the volcano with the burn. I think most players probably lean towards volcano. Now the pumpkin has its own trick up its sleeve. Instead of that 25 point slow decrease, which is just a few percent, wasn't really even worthwhile. It now is, because it can curse, and curses do stack. So if you actually take a look at the volcano now, you can actually see it increases damage by 25% to that target. And that's going to add up. That is a big increase on the damage taken. Also, the missile launcher, the damage was increased. So if you had the previous one, you may notice a difference in between the two. Now it is the same damage for both, because once again it's not just a 20% damage increase on missile launcher. And of course a couple of fixes. You don't have to worry about the missile launcher hurting your towers, a couple of other things. But just going back to the runes, just check that you have the correct ones now. Things are a bit different in the rune world. That may decrease your hive and your volcano towers damage a bit to bring basically everything in line with itself. Those towers are very powerful. We all know it. And I think this is kind of to balance them in the game, trying to make other towers just as useful. So just check everything out. These are the changes, and hopefully we'll see a new event with a bruiser in it, and we'll try to bring him in if so. And if not, enjoy the game until then. Thanks, guys.